everybody. It's been a couple of weeks since I posted an update. There are a few reasons for that. I have not been doing super well lately, both physically and emotionally speaking. I've been off and on sick. I think I was just sick after getting home and just didn't properly take care of myself well enough to really get over it until this past week. I have also been struggling a little bit with work things. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm in animal rescue. I work for a shelter system here in Atlanta, and spring brings on a lot of kind of intense emotional things for me after last year was my first full year in the shelter system side of rescue. I've been in rescue before. I spent 3 years working with a cat rescue, but my job there was very much, I just go in, take care of animals, I leave. I managed volunteers for that one, so a lot of the intake, healthcare, medical side of things I was not involved in really at all. So last year was my first time doing that, and I did not have the best director at the shelter I was at the time, so a lot of things happened that shouldn't have happened, and got through it at the time, really because you have to, and then didn't think about it since. Apparently it affected me a little harder than I had thought. So even though I'm at a different shelter with different people, arguably a much better boss, the types of things that happened before absolutely should not, and I really believe will not be happening this year. But it's still, so I have not been to a therapist. I'm not trying to self-diagnose myself. I really hesitate to use the phrase PTSD, but if I were talking to a friend and they were telling me the things that I'm feeling, I would be telling them, go talk to your therapist about potentially having PTSD. So that's been something I've been struggling with a little bit. It's getting better through talking to my friends, both my friends who are also in rescue and know, specifically old coworkers that were there for last year's events, and then talking to people who didn't and don't work in rescue, but they have known me during that time period, since that time period. They know what I went through. They know how difficult it was, and seeing me struggle with it again now, they're realizing, how big of an issue it was, and my friends have been extremely supportive, and I'm lucky for that. So I'm getting there, but it has been difficult to do anything more than my day-to-day survival type things. My house is a wreck. I haven't cleaned anything in forever. This weekend I've done pretty well. I was off, so I did a lot of, laundry, went grocery shopping, all that kind of stuff. And I'm getting there. I think another thing that's helped is I've signed up for a couple of courses to get certifications for things that I feel will help move my career forward, at least eventually, so I don't feel like I'm stuck, kind of like I did. One of the panic-inducing things that I was struggling with was feeling like I was going to always be stuck in this one position. And don't get me wrong, I love being a caregiver. I love taking care of these animals. It's why I'm doing what I do. But the idea that I would be stuck in this cycle forever of, you know, caring for and loving these animals and then seeing, you know, maybe bad things happen to them down the road, was really getting to me, even though I know logically, again, the events of last year should not be something that are ever repeated. Not in the same ways and for the same reasons. But anxiety is not really reasonable or logical, so just doing something that made me feel like potentially later I will be able to still be helping and caring for these animals, but in a different capacity, or slightly more removed even, made me feel better. You know, feeling like you're taking action about something is always going to make you feel better, so I think that helped as well. So that's what I've been up to. I will say, Bennett's visiting. I will say, I have one thing that a little bit of a prolonged mental breakdown is good for, is actually reading. It is a major form of self-care for me, so anytime that I recognize that I'm struggling mentally and emotionally with something, I always make time to read because I know it's going to make me feel better. And I also, my online book coven has been doing a thing the last couple years where for Lent, we, instead of giving something up, we take something back for ourselves, which it's a book coven. I'm sure you can guess. What we're taking back is time to read. So everyone kind of sets their own goals. For some folks, it's as simple as, you know, I'm going to read a little bit every day for Lent. And for some of us, it's, you know, goes all the way up to read 100 pages a day. So that's helped as well. I did kind of a two-part goal for Lent. My goal is to read 50 pages a day, and then my stretch goal is to read 100. So if I read 50, I've met the goal that I wanted to meet. I'm happy with myself, and you know, I can, if that's all I have the brain power for, I can be done and I don't feel bad. But if I get, you know, really absorbed in a book, which the last couple days I have, you know, then I go for that 100, and then I just get to feel extra good. So since my last check-in, I have finished, let me get my list over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books. So that's not too bad, 8 books in the last couple weeks. I think it's 8. I actually can't remember if I had Instance in the Life of a Slave Girl on my last check-in or not. But I finished that. It was on audio. That's by Harriet Ann Jacobs. I actually listened to it in a day at work. I work 12-hour shifts. So it's actually not that hard to finish like a shorter audiobook in a day at work. But I just couldn't stop listening to it. It was, I don't know if it was the format or what, but it was so absorbing. And it took my mind off, you know, the work things that I was stressing out about. So that was really wonderful. And then I moved on to the rest of these are all print or ebooks. I did Aidi by Roxane Gay. I think I read that one in 2 days. Mr. Fox by Helen Oyeyemi. That was a date day with my husband Brad. It was really great. We went down to Decatur Square, wandered around playing Pokemon Go for a while, and then he took me to one of my favorite bookstores in Atlanta, Little Shop of Stories, sorry. It's a great place. I love them. They have awesome events. They're very kid focused, which is great, but they do have also adult books and everything like that. And while I was like wandering around, I wasn't planning on buying books. as you guys know, I'm trying to buy fewer books. But I was wandering around looking around, and while I was doing that, he found their shelf of blind date with a book offerings, and they had some that were labeled like for astrology signs. So he bought me the For a Date with a Taurus book, and it turned out to be Mr. Fox by Helen Oyeyemi. I already said that. And it took me about halfway through the book to realize that not every chapter or section was meant to be part of the overarching story, and I was very confused and bewildered for a lot of it, but I couldn't stop reading because it was so good. But once I figured that out, it got a lot easier, and I really enjoyed that experience. I'll probably pick up more of her books as time goes on. I then read Allegedly by Tiffany Jackson, which was amazing. I'm not entirely sure if I understand fully the ending. I keep going back and forth on what I think actually happened, which I think might be the point. But it blew me. I've never read anything quite like it. I've never read anything with that like plot framing. I really liked it. I love Tiffany Jackson. I have another one of her books on my TBR that I'm hoping to get read this year. Monday's not coming, so fingers crossed that I'll get to that one soon. I then read American Street by E.B. Savoy. That was another one that I really liked. I really loved the what's the word I'm looking for? The blending of the like Haitian spiritual beliefs with a city that I actually haven't read that many books set in. Weirdly, I realized as I was reading that I don't think I've read that many books set in Detroit. So that was really interesting, like the whole like inner city Detroit, like gritty feeling of everything mixed with the Haitian spiritual belief systems that the main character subscribes to, and having all of that kind of mesh together to create that story was really wonderful. It broke my heart. Obviously, I'm not gonna say why, but yeah, that one hurt me a little bit. I followed that up with A Blade So Black by L.L. McKinney, which was exactly what I needed to get over that heartbreak. A Blade So Black is set in Atlanta. I loved it. I get excited when I recognize things in the books I read and the movies I watch. You should have seen me when I watched Baby Driver. I was losing my shit. But so, and then on top of that, Alice is like the super nerd who goes to like anime conventions and stuff, and hi. So it was really easy to get into her mindset and like follow her character's logic and everything. I loved it. I ate it up. That was another like 2-day book. The only reason it took 2 days is because I started it in the middle of the afternoon, so like I had to sleep. I mean, I guess I didn't have to, but I prefer. After that, I read Shiny Broken Pieces by Sona Charapatra and Danielle Clayton. It is the sequel to Tiny Pretty Things, which I read a couple years ago. I had to shoot a text to a friend of mine and be like, hey, remind me a couple of the biggest plot points, because my memory's crap. It's great for rereads, because I can reread a book, pretty much any book except the Harry Potter series. I can reread it and be like, oh, I forgot, this is great, and it's almost like reading it again for the first time. However, when you're trying to read a sequel, especially something as twisty and turny as these books are, it can kind of bite me in the ass. So she was very kind and very willing to refresh me on the things that she remembered, which helped a lot. I could have just muddled through, but with her help it made so much more sense. And then yesterday I read almost in one sitting How Dare the Sunrise by Sandra Uwiringiyimana. I may have pronounced that wrong. If so, I apologize. I'm trying my best. I did actually look up a YouTube video to try and get that pronunciation right. But yeah, I've read war memoirs before. I'm not like completely unaware of how terrible war is and the effects it can have on people, especially children. But it did hit me in a way that others haven't necessarily. Maybe because she's so close to being my age. Maybe it's because of her talking about her little sister. I have a little sister, and it really hit home in a way that I wasn't expecting it to, given that I have not experienced these things firsthand myself or anything anywhere near. So that one got me a little bit. I haven't started anything new today because I'm feeling a little reserved in that department. I definitely recommend, it was her TED Talk that I watched actually, and I highly recommend it. It was really, really good. And I'm definitely, like, I've heard her name before. When the book came out, obviously I heard a lot about her, and I did some Googling and everything, but I definitely think I should have been before, and I'm going to now be paying attention to her activism and what she's doing, because I think it's really important, and I think it's great that she's doing it. So that's my check-in. I think the next book I'm gonna start is Let's Talk About Love. Oh god, I just forgot the author's name. I'll have it in the notes. But yeah, I think that's gonna be my next one. I haven't read a good, like, romantic, cutesy kind of book in a while, and I feel like that's what this one's gonna be. At least that's what the summaries and stuff I've read about it seem to lean towards. I have not finished Nature Fix yet. I swear I am enjoying it. I know you're probably sitting there being like, well, if you enjoyed it, you'd have finished it by now. But it's so heavy on the science and the statistics and stuff, that it's taking me a while to plug through. And for A Lion in the Living Room, I'm just gonna restart it. After I finish Nature Fix, I'm gonna restart it, because I'm pretty sure I only read like the first chapter or something anyway. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back to that. Nature Fix is a library book, and I've renewed it all of the times that I can, and it's coming up due again. So I'm gonna try and plow through it over the next like 2 days or so and get it done. But yeah, it's taking me a minute. I love nonfiction. I love science nonfiction, but it does take me a while to get through. It's dense. It's information dense, and that sends me back to school a little bit. And the feeling of textbooks. I was never great at reading my textbooks, so even with information that I'm enjoying, my brain needs time to absorb the things, and sometimes I don't have that time. So we'll see what happens. My loan might expire, and I'll have to get on Goodreads and be like, well, I finished 60% of it. I'll see if I can finish the rest in 3 weeks when it comes back to me, because I'm pretty sure it has a hold on it at this point. Whatever. And I've gotten pings for other library holds coming in that I need to go check. Why are there so many books? Why are there so many books and so little time? So little time in this life. Okay, alright, before I get too existential and have us all going in a spiral, I will sign off. I'm going to try and get back on track with the weekly check-ins. I think I'm going to move them to Fridays. That makes more sense to me. I don't remember why I had them on Tuesdays to begin with. That seems weird. But yeah, so, and hopefully I won't have any like boring check-ins at least through the end of Lent, which is sometime in April. But yeah. Here's a question, should I be telling you guys about the reading I'm doing for my courses that I'm taking? Does that, I mean, it's reading, but does it count? Is it important enough to talk about? Because it's mostly like articles and not, it's never a book. It's articles, it's like scientific papers, which, now that I think about it, could also be affecting my read rate for Nature Fix. But let me know what you think. Does school reading count for reading goals if it's not a book? That was an awkward question, but whatever. I'll see you guys next week, next Friday. I promise. And hopefully I will continue to get better, feel better. I do feel better physically. I did finally actually take care of myself. I'm gonna go work out now, actually. So hopefully I won't get sick again anytime soon, and hopefully this weird anxiety, depression, everything is awful cycle will also end. I'm coming out of it. So let's hope it stays that way until I at least find a therapist, because today's the first day my health insurance kicked in. Yeah. All right, I'll see you guys. Good night.